Welcome to the deep dive. Ever felt like you've hit a wall with Terraform? Where the standard tools, they just don't quite cut it for your specific infrastructure needs.
That's exactly the challenge we're digging into today. We're looking at Terraform custom provisioners, basically. How you extend its power when the usual options, well, aren't enough.
Right. Our sources explore this pretty advanced feature. Terraform, as you probably know, it's all about infrastructure as code, defining and managing your digital stuff through code.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, what happens when your deployment situation is really, really unique?
That's the key question. Our mission in this deep dive is really to figure out when using custom provisioners becomes, essential for those complex, specialized scenarios.
Okay, so based on the material, when should you even start thinking about needing one of these?
Well, the sources point to a few key situations, like imagine you have really complex steps needed after your main infrastructure is up.
After the deployment.
Exactly. Intricate, multi-stage configurations. That's a big flag.
Like setting up some highly specific data processing pipeline that no standard provider covers.
Precisely. Or another sign is needing to integrate Terraform with your own, internal, non-standard deployment systems. Proprietary stuff.
Ah, okay. In-house tools.
Yeah. Or if you need very, very fine-grained control over how software runs beyond what the normal providers offer. Think really specialized runtime configurations.
So when the standard knobs and dials just aren't, granular enough, what else? Is there another main trigger?
The last big one mentioned is integrating with older legacy systems. Things with very specific, maybe kind of quirky API requirements.
Right. Making the new stuff talk to the old stuff.
That's the idea. Connecting modern infrastructure with systems that weren't built for it.
Got it. So if you find yourself in one of those spots, how do you actually build these custom provisioners? What do the sources say?
Okay, so the core concept is that they are Go plugins. You develop them in Go, and they have to fit into Terraform's framework using a specific interface.
Go plugins, right. So you're essentially creating a custom tool that speaks Terraform's language.
You got it. And they work on an apply and destroy pattern, just like regular Terraform resources.
Apply, destroy. Makes sense.
So when Terraform creates or updates, the apply part of your code runs your custom actions. When you run Terraform destroy, the destroy part handles your custom cleanup.
And there was something crucial about how they need to behave.
Yes, idempotency. Super important.
Idempotent meaning you can run it multiple times, and it should produce the same result, right? No unexpected changes.
Exactly. It ensures things are reliable and predictable. You don't want it messing things up on a second run.
Okay, so how do you actually develop them? What tools are involved?
The recommendation is the Terraform Plugin SDK. It gives you the scaffolding, the libraries you need, so you're not starting completely from scratch.
That's helpful. And what does the actual coding involve?
You need to implement a specific Go interface, the provisioner.interface, with its required methods. These sources also really stress having good plugin level logging.
For debugging, I assume.
Absolutely. Essential for figuring out what your custom code is actually doing or why it failed. And you also need clear schema definitions.
Schema. To tell Terraform what inputs your provisioner accepts.
Precisely. What arguments it takes, their types, whether they're required, and so on.
Makes sense. Terraform needs that contract. Okay, so you've built one. How do you share and use it within, say, a team or organization?
They get packaged up as binary plugin files, and they need specific names so Terraform can find them.
Binaries. And where do they live?
Typically, organizations host these in their own artifact repositories. Think of it like a private registry for your company's custom Terraform plugins.
Right, like Artifactory or Nexus. And how do you tell your Terraform configuration to actually use this custom thing?
Good question. Your module documentation becomes really important here. It needs to guide users on how to install the plugin binary correctly. Sometimes setting up a developer environment might even need a little initialization script to pull it down.
Okay, so definitely a bit more involved than just adding a standard provider from the registry.
For sure.
Now, are there simpler alternatives? Should you always jump straight to a custom provisioner? What do the sources suggest first?
No, definitely not the first resort. The sources strongly emphasize, prioritize using standard provider resources and data sources whenever possible. Exhaust those options first.
Right, stick to the standard library if you can.
Absolutely. They're tested, maintained, and understood by the broader community. Also, external data sources can be a good middle ground.
External data sources, how do they help?
They let you fetch data from external systems during a Terraform run. which can sometimes be enough for integration without building a whole provisioner.
Okay. Any other lighter options?
For simpler tasks, maybe just running a script after a resource is created, the null resource combined with a local exec or remote exec provisioner can work. It's less integrated, but sometimes sufficient.
Good to know there are steps before going full custom. So if you do decide a custom provisioner is the way, what are the key things to keep in mind operationally, making it robust?
Yeah, several things. You need solid error handling and maybe some retry logic built in. Things fail.
Of course.
Detailed logging, as we mentioned, is vital not just for development, but for troubleshooting in production environments. You need to see what happened.
Makes sense. What else?
Secure credential handling is critical.
Hmm.
Your provisioner might need API keys or passwords. You can't just hard code them. And finally, building test harnesses. You need ways to reliably test your provisioner outside of a full complex deployment.
Right. Testing is key. So it's not just building it, but building it to be reliable, secure, and maintainable long term.
Exactly. It's a significant undertaking.
Okay, so wrapping this up. It seems like while Terraform's ecosystem is vast, there are these specific, often complex edge cases where crafting your own custom provisioner becomes the necessary, powerful solution.
That's the main takeaway, I think. First, really explore what's already available in Terraform. Use the standard providers, data sources, maybe even local execs. Only when the complexity or the sheer uniqueness of your requirements demands it should you venture into custom provisioner development.
It's a powerful tool, but one to use judiciously. This deep dive definitely highlights the capability, but also the responsibility that comes with extending infrastructure as code at this level. So for you listening, maybe think about it. What unique challenges in your own work might actually benefit from this kind of tailored approach? Definitely food for thought. Thanks for diving deep with us today.